Good morning, and welcome to our Sunday morning forum. We hold this forum each Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. at Fellowship Bible Church, Middleburg, Florida. Welcome. Let's join Jesus and his select disciples as he explains what is to come.
Matthew chapter 24 verses 9 to 14. Jesus describes what his disciples must expect during the time between his ascension and second coming. 9. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. 10. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. 11. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. 12. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. 13. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. 14. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come.
As we have done in the past, we're going to look at verse 9 and break it down into its segments. The first segment is the phrase, "They will deliver you to tribulation and kill you." Now, is it evident thus far that Jesus is talking to his disciples or anyone calling themselves Christians in today's world? The Apostle Peter, James, John, and Andrew, and we can refer to Matthew 10:17, Luke 21:12, John 15:20, and Revelation 2:10 for some answers here. In the period after Jesus ascends to heaven and before he comes again, his disciples should expect to be persecuted. His disciples should expect to be persecuted. This may make his followers believe the end is near, but this also not the specific sign of his return. Now let's look at 9b. The Jews have been hated by the Gentile nations based on religion and race, for their wealth and their dogmatic beliefs and religious practices. Jews were commonly used as scapegoats for tragedies and disasters such as the Black Death and persecutions. The 1066 Grand Massacre, the massacre of 1,391 in Spain, the many pogroms in the Russian Empire, and the tenets of Nazism prior to and during World War II, which led to the Holocaust and the murder of 6 million Jews. Let's move on now to verse 10. Betray one another. Here again, there has been betrayal of Jew against Jew throughout history. Judas Iscariot is a prime example. Verse 11. False prophets will arise and deceive many. In the period after Jesus ascends to heaven and before he comes again, the disciples of Jesus will see many false prophets and their success. But these also are not the specific sign of his returns. False prophets will deceive many, and they have throughout history. 12. Lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. In the period after Jesus ascends to heaven before he comes Again, his disciples should expect to see society become worse and worse. But this also is not a specific sign of his return. France writes, and the lawless will lead to the cooling off of love and the connection to be noted. Most men's love is literally the love of many. Spurgeon writes, here is something to tremble at, because iniquity shall abound, that is worse than pestilence. The love of many shall wax cold, that is worse than persecution. As all the water outside of the vessel can do no hurt until it enters the vessel itself. Outward persecution cannot really injure the church of God, but when the mischief oozes into the church and the love of God's people wax cold, then the bark in the store distress. And finally, verse 14, this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as to a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Jesus also promised that before the end, the gospel would go out into the world. The persecution, false prophets, and general downgrade of society would not prevent the spread of the gospel. Morgan writes, some claim that this has already been done, and that therefore the end of the age is necessarily close at hand. This conclusion is open to grave doubt. Everything depends on the meaning of the word or words for a testimony. The church is to take this seriously as their duty. However, God assures that it will happen.